Do business, act business. Business
The onslaught of the internet and digital awareness in this age has created a lot of challenges, among which is the mental health aspect of it all. How a lot of people respond or react to this determine how well they'll be able to deal with their mental health, or they basically have to have that affect their life all through their ages. You're welcome to Business Matters. My name is Stephen Ipalibo Lawson.
Business Matters. Let's talk business.
There is a difference between somebody who is obviously mentally challenged and somebody who obviously has challenges with their mental health. Some of these issues have become myths. Some of them need clarification. Some of them have become a case of stigmatization. All of this we are going to address on this week's edition of the program. Let's have a business update.
Business Matters.
Hey beautiful, your eyes, your smile are all begging me to take you home tonight. Now reading page 3. Experience unlimited superfast internet access from Entel 4G.
Entel. Live more.
As is our tradition on Business Matters, we invite a distinguished professional to do justice to the topic of the day. And joining me in the studio today is no other person than a consultant psychiatrist and a psychologist based in Lagos, Nigeria. She holds an MBBS from the University of Lagos, MSc in Health Policy from the Imperial College, London, and a fellowship with the West African College of Physicians. She's an alumnus of the Lagos Business School through the Cherie Blair Foundation Scholarship for Outstanding Female Entrepreneurs. She holds multiple certifications in psychology and psychotherapy for children, adolescents, and adults, and she's currently enrolled as a student of the London Business School. She founded a health tech startup called Freudian Centre, which is an employee and family assistance program located at 141 Ahmadu Bello Way, opposite Silverbird Galleria, Victoria Line, Lagos, here. This startup works tirelessly to bridge the gap in access to quality mental health care for all age groups and provides addiction treatment services for individuals in need. She's an active member of the Association of Psychiatrists in Nigeria, the American Psychiatric Association, World Federation of Biological Psychiatrists, and the International Society of Substance Use Prevention and Treatment Professionals. We're looking at the topic today, mental health in the digital age, and I'm talking about no other person than Dr. Olayinka Jibunoh. How are you?
Hello, Stephen.
It's good to have you.
Thank you very much.
So first and foremost, we are diving into the crux of the matter. The fact that I consult a psychiatrist, does it mean I am mentally insane?
No. Psychiatrists, or shrinks, as some people say, are very vital for our mental health. So our health can be looked at in two categories. You can look at your health as physical and mental health. The physical health is that part which you see, which you pay a lot of attention to. But the mental health is that part on the inside, your psychological, your social and emotional well-being, which controls the physical, which controls the outside. So as a psychiatrist, we say your mental health is more important than your physical health. Because the way you feel, think on the inside ends up showing on the outside, ends up affecting the decisions you make and the actions you take. So seeing a mental health professional to make sure that your mental health stays optimal is the ideal thing to do. You would visit your cardiologist
True.
for a regular heart check
True.
to be sure that your heart is working well.
True.
You would go and see your gynecologist to
True.
be sure your So same thing, we should cultivate the habit of talking to a mental health professional just to be sure that we're doing very well.
Yeah, because it worries me that a lot of times when you mention the word psychiatrist, the kind of imagery people have in the mind is the fact that you can't deal with life's challenges, you can't deal with life issues, and hence you find yourself being unstable and likes like that. And this is not always oftentimes true, is it?
So every single one of us struggles with our mental health at some point in our lifetime. For some people, the struggle starts from childhood. So some people are born orphans, some people are homeless, some people lose their parents as children. For some people, it's adolescents. They experience bullying or one thing or the other, you know. Some people is in marriage. For others, it's old age. You know, we all experience challenges at some point in our lifetime. And during those challenges, your mental health would dwindle. You know, there will be a shift, because that's what we call psychological distress. When you're going through some form of challenge or adversity, you would have some form of psychological distress. But that doesn't mean you're mentally ill.
Okay, so what's the difference? Mentally ill and the mental health? Can you differentiate? Because a lot of times you find that in all companies of these days, people who perhaps are dealing with issues like, for example, depression, schizophreniaism, so to speak, mood swings, bipolar disorder, so to speak, some of those other issues are oftentimes, you know, stigmatized against. They're not given the kind of treatment other members of staff are given. Would you like to throw more light to these kinds of issues, as the case might be, especially with corporate world today?
When life hits, when there's grief or bereavement or job loss or marital issues, your mental health can shift from maybe 100% to about 80%. And you could be going through one distress, you're unraveled, you don't dress well, you're just scattered. You're going through a distress. But that doesn't mean you have a disorder, which is at 0%.
Now, some of these guys you see on the road with the tattered clothes and the rest
No,
of
that is different. That is definitely a disorder.
Okay.
Because now the person is homeless, the person is talking and laughing alone on the streets, the person is oblivious to what is going on in the environment. That is definitely a disorder.
Is every one of us susceptible to that level of disorder?
Based on the mental health continuum, everyone is at risk. No one is immune. We say no
Okay.
one is immune.
Okay.
Everyone is at risk. It all now depends on how you manage your mental health.
Okay.
How the measures you put in place to make sure that your mental health remains optimal at every point in time, irrespective of what you're going through.
We had a situation in one of the telcos of a young lady who was about one's age in the 40s, who actually committed suicide.
Okay.
And so a lot of people felt that was an extreme mental health issue.
So,
to speak.
for example, that lady would have shown signs of psychological distress
Okay.
before she got to the suicide.
Is that different from
the point of
psychosis?
suicide. That's different from psychosis.
Okay.
So she would have shown psychological distress, which is not really friendly, keeping to herself, nothing like eating, not interacting as much, not very happy, just some changes, which if they had picked up on early on, they could have prevented her death.
Now, I want to ask the second questions because the topic today is mental health in the digital age. A lot of us are exposed to our digital equipments and instruments. A lot of people oftentimes will find themselves more on the internet, either browsing one site or the other and all that. What kind of impact do that kind of lifestyle have, especially for the young entrepreneur, for the executive out there, for even the established business owners?
So what we find on the internet or in the digital space, there's a lot of information. Good, bad, ugly, beautiful, all kinds of information.
True.
Negative, positive,
True.
When you bombard yourself with so much, especially when it's negative, it definitely has an effect on you. I won't say the digital space is all bad because
No, that's what I mean.
gains.
Yes.
But the negative somehow, I think, outweighs the positive somehow.
Really?
Because when you see there are trolls issues, people are
The bullying
people
issue even
vent,
for children.
people are venting on online,
true.
ranting online. There's a lot of negative, which if you wake up in the morning and that's the first thing you pick up. First you go to the news site, it's all bad news, bomb blast here, blah blah blah, Ukraine and
Not funny
that.
at all.
Then you go again, trolls are attacking someone, saying if that's what you fill your mind with continuously all the time, it would have an effect on you. There's no
Okay.
doubt. And we've seen that when you expose yourself to digital media for greater than 6 hours in a day, every day, you're more likely to come down with
To be
some
prone to
psychological
some kind
issue.
of psychology
Yes,
issue.
yes.
So it's advisable for you to limit your time on the digital space.
Very important. So
to less than 6 hours.
the research has shown that people that have the richest or that feel like their lives are enhanced by the digital media, who get the best from digital media, limit it to between 1 to 2 hours per day.
1 to 2 hours
1
per
to
day.
2 hours per
Wow.
day. So if you're able to limit it to 1 to 2 hours per day, I think it's more, it enhances your life more. But once it's too much, there's information overload. It has a counterproductive effect.
Now, I know during the lockdown, when COVID hit real hard, a lot of people were struggling with either depression, or people felt that, the world was coming to an end. At that time, there was this rise in the issue of mental health.
Yeah.
What do you say to that?
Yeah, as expected. The pandemic was it was unexpected. The results were uncertain. There were measures we had to put in place, but despite the measures, people still died from the illness.
Sure.
And that made people more afraid, because you could wash your hands and wear your mask and still contract the virus. That made the level of uncertainty rise, and that increased anxiety and depression in a lot of people. So the truth is that during the pandemic, we had a lot of new onset mental health disorders. Now, mental health disorders can be grouped into two major categories.
Okay.
We have neurotic disorders, and we have psychotic disorders. Okay. Psychotic disorders are extreme. They are severe. That's the man you will see on the road in tattered clothes and talking alone and laughing alone. That's psychotic. However, neurotic disorders are very common, very common. Disorders like anxiety and depression fall under neurosis. We have phobias. We have obsessions, obsessive disorders. We have social anxiety. We have PTSD. There's so many illnesses that fall under neurosis.
That makes me look as if each one of us is
yeah, that's the interesting thing. If you do a survey, if you walk into a room with 100 people and do a survey, you'll be amazed at the results you get. You find that as in, by the time you do a survey, 20% of people in the room would have one phobia or the other.
True.
A phobia is a mental health issue, it's a neurotic illness. Okay. Phobia for cockroaches, water, heights, staying in the elevator. Everybody has one thing or the other.
Do you see a situation whereby government policy in this regards can help to address issues with stigmatization?
So just like how the government has prioritized the HMOs, health maintenance organizations, the NHIS and things. True. It's the same way they can also prioritize what we call the employee assistance program, which is similar to what HMOs do, but in this case, you mandate employers to pay for mental health care for their staff. So if you work within an organization, the organization would have allotted some funds to EAP services. So it's called Employee and Family Assistance Program Services. Paid an organization, a provider of that service. Now, when you or your family members are going through some form of psychological distress, they can easily walk in to a facility like that and talk to someone, talk to trained counselors, psychiatrists.
I know abroad you get to talk to psychologists for hours.
Yes.
And people
so it's a program that exists in the West, in Canada, in the US, and once you work in organization, once you're a worker, you have, just like how they will pay for HMO, same thing, you have access to that. And the benefit is that it's not just for you, it's for your dependents as well. Your children, your grandma, your grandpa, everyone is covered under that plan, and it helps you.
All right.
Imagine having that opportunity when you go through any challenge. You're less likely to break down with a disorder.
All right.
Yes.
We're going to talk a little bit about nervous breakdown, what it entails and all of that, but we're going on a short break. As soon as we're back, Business Matters continues, especially with Dr. Jibunoh, and we're looking at mental health in the digital age.
Experience unlimited super-fast internet access from Intel 4G.
Intel. Live more.
You're welcome back. If you've just joined us, this is Business Matters, and I'm in the studio with Dr. Olayinka Jibunoh, and we're looking at the topic mental health in the digital age. Well, Dr. Jibunoh, earlier on, we were talking about some of these issues in terms of employee access programs that has to be put alongside with something that is like the HMO or NHS. Before we went on the break, I was going to ask what nervous breakdown entails. What exactly does it mean when somebody says that I'm suffering from a nervous breakdown or I had to go through a nervous breakdown? Is that some kind of mental health?
So I would, so I would say that is like having a psychological breakdown. Some people will call it nervous breakdown. Some people will call it psychological breakdown. So it's just similar to what we've been talking about: distress, psychological distress.
So the capacity of an individual to be able to cope with this distress, midlife crisis, traumas, and the rest of them, will
wants to
determine
become overwhelmed
okay.
by the crisis.
Do you get to bounce back from that?
So that's what differentiates the person that ends up with a disorder and the person
Okay.
that is fine. Everyone goes through the crisis, but the person that's able to bounce back, recover, that feeling of being overwhelmed, is able to overcome that feeling and be able to get back on top again.
Great.
That person gets back to optimal mental health. But for someone that continues to be overwhelmed, continues to be exhausted, that's when you hear maybe the person has committed suicide or done
Okay.
one thing or the other.
A lot of people oftentimes wonder how much sleep does a young business owner or an executive or even a common man on the street has to as an adult. I had somebody who told me that you need at least 4 to 5 hours sleep as an adult, and that is going to enable you to function. But for you, who is your area of expertise, is that correct?
So sleep differs according to your age. Young people need more sleep. So young
They
children,
don't pay bills, so it's okay.
young children can get as much as 10 hours, and
True.
it's fine. 10 hours of sleep. You find that when they're even getting less, they sleep in school, they sleep off in class, in the school bus and all that. That means they're not getting enough sleep. So young children need more. Babies practically sleep all day.
True.
They have almost
That's
24
the
hours,
occupation.
16, 18 hours. Young children up to 10 hours. But as you get older, the need for sleep reduces. So in your middle years, you're getting 6 to 8 hours. That's fine. Your 30s, your 40s, your 50s.
6 to 8 hours.
6
It's
to
fine.
8
So
hours.
if you're getting
sufficient.
less,
If you're getting less, you're not getting enough sleep.
okay.
Now, the older you get, the less you need. So if you're getting to your 60s, 70s, 80s, you need 4 to 5 hours of sleep.
Okay.
So I won't advise a 30-year-old man to get 4 hours of sleep. That is the sleep pattern for a 70-year-old man.
Person.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Sleep is very important because that's the only way our brain rests.
But do companies themselves, because I know there was a Financial Times article I read with regards to sleep, how companies can lay down policy where you have sleeping bays. As a matter of fact, you take a 1 hour nap and all that. It helps to rejuvenate your system and all that, and then your productivity is high. In Lagos, for example, we spend more hours on the traffic going to and fro work that oftentimes our productivity might not be at that optimal.
Yeah.
What do you think corporate world here in Nigeria should do with regards to some of those kind of initiative for innovation?
Yes, as employers, we need to be more intentional about our mental health and the mental health of our employees, our staff. And what we see in the West now is that everyone realizes, they've come to realize that people, like you said, they're going to work in the morning, they're stuck in traffic, they're coming back, they're stuck in traffic. They're tired in the workplace. They're tired, there's a lot of presenteeism. So people are there in body, but in mind and spirit, they're elsewhere. They're tired and they're not as productive as they should be. So workplaces are now being more mentally aware. Working remotely, of course, when you're in your own space, you can prioritize how you use your time. You can allot your time. But in the workspace, what we've seen now in workspaces is things like sleep pods and energy pods. So we have some gadgets which are called energy pods, which employers are now purchasing on behalf of their employees. And when you feel like you need to refresh or rejuvenate in the workplace, you go into the sleep pod, get some extra, a few hours of extra.
How many hours?
But
Because some
the
people might
important
just
thing,
take
because
that.
some people will say, oh, how can I pay someone to come and sleep in the office?
Yes.
It's about deadlines. So
Okay.
you give your staff deadlines and you say, okay, I've given you this task, you deliver by close of business today. How you do it is left to you. Just
True.
deliver by close of business. As long as the person is able to deliver, that 1 hour nap that might just help them refresh and they'll be able to, because they might have been stuck in traffic since 4 a.m., got to the workplace, they're tired, they're not as productive. But you give them that 1 hour nap and they bounce back and they're able to deliver
The 1 hour
on time.
nap, can it be before the start of day or maybe as a siesta?
So
Because I know in secondary school, I went to FGC Port Harcourt, and it was very, very, it was law for you to observe your siesta. And that actually helped us in our formative years, in secondary school those days. So would you say that should be before the start of work or a siesta kind of policy?
So it depends. I think it depends on the workplace and the nature of the job.
Okay.
For some places, some employers have tried letting their employees come in very early, so they leave home very early to beat the traffic before traffic starts, and they provide that opportunity for them to be able to rest before work now starts at 8 or 9 a.m.
Great.
That's what some people do. Some people will say during your lunch break, so you have a 1 hour or 2 hour lunch break. Within your lunch break, whatever you do is up to you. If you want to eat, if you want to sleep, it's your decision.
All right, I'm going to let you talk to Nigerians to let them understand that the fact that you consult a psychiatrist doesn't mean that you are necessarily insane, and that is actually good for your mental health. So talk to them and let them know.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Dr. Olayinka Jibunoh. I'm a psychiatrist and psychologist. As psychiatrists, we are mental health experts and professionals. We help maintain your mental health. With my help, with someone like me, you're able to remain optimal. You're able to function optimally and be more productive as a father, as a mother, as a child, or as an employee in the workplace. It's important that we tend to our mental health so that even our physical health can continue to flourish. So I encourage us to look for a psychiatrist close to you and consult when necessary. Thank you.
So thank you very much, because what that actually helped to address, like a colleague of mine here in the station who was so scared that we're having a psychiatrist on set today. I don't know, it has nothing to do with him being insane or him being mentally ill. That is actually very good for us to begin to take it just on individual basis, individual policy, how we call it, from the corporate angles, as in terms of corporate policy, as well as from the national angle. And I think that there are particular days. The World Mental Health Day is oftentimes around what time of the year? And I think there are 1 or 2 or thereabout.
October 10th.
Okay.
October
And then
10th every year.
for substance abuse, a lot of us perhaps take a lot in terms of, would you call it anesthetic? I don't want to call the brand name, so that my producer does not bill me. And then we pop these pills so much, painkillers, as adults, you have bills to pay. You have to be up and running and going. Are we at risk, or our mental health at risk when we do these kinds of, things?
Yes.
Okay.
So people pop these pills, people smoke these things, or even drink the alcohol to cope with these challenges we've been talking about. So everyone is faced with challenges at some point. Let's use financial challenge at some point.
Yes, the bills.
You get
the bills.
The bills keep piling. Diesel, for example, is almost 1,000 naira now.
Crazy.
For someone, that diesel issue is giving someone a headache right now. For someone, he will say he will be going through some distress right now because he has to buy diesel, he has to pay school fees. That's
He has to put food on
some
the table.
distress, yes. And his wife is trying to talk to him and he's not
Yeah,
there.
the women do that.
She's calling his
excellently well
name,
in that
he's
aspect.
lost in thoughts. That's psychological distress going on, you understand? If that persists for too long, it can become something else. So we all have these moments. We all have these periods where we, from time to time, go through these challenges. Do you understand?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. I want to say a big thank you very much, Dr. Jibunoh. It's been a wonderful time out with you, and I'm very sure we are going to place you on our guest list again for us to come talk about mental health and explore the continuum, because it's very important for every one of us to be mentally healthy, and then it's not a taboo, and there shouldn't be any sense of stigmatization if you have to consult a psychiatrist like yourself or a psychologist or a shrink, whatever it is. The healthier we are mentally, the better our productivity. I want to say a big thank you very much for being
Thank you for
here on the
having
show.
me.
Yeah. Anyway, viewers, please stay tuned. Business Matters continues after this short break.
Business matter. Let's talk business. Business matter.
Just you've heard about it, mental health in the digital age is a very, very wonderful thing for us to be able to understand that we need not to create a lifestyle that will put us in a very, very terrible position. And the fact that you consult a psychiatrist doesn't make you a crazy person out there. As a matter of fact, your mental health should be treated as much and as well as you treat your physical health. Together, if we're able to embrace this understanding and take a step against stigmatization, as well as companies employ different kinds of professionals to help in this regard, alongside their policy, it will help us to create a very wealthy and healthy Nigerian citizens. My name is Stephen Ipalbo Lawson. Please follow us on our different social media handles and our website. Until I come your way again, bye-bye for now.